Did you know that not all dogs are compatible with each other? Just in the same way that not all humans are compatible with each other? And in today's clip, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be covering integrating a new dog into the pack and dog testing. But before we start the video, guys, gentleman's handshake. I take the time, I produce the content, I put all my knowledge, all my years of experience into producing this stuff for you guys so that you can become a more well-informed pet dog owner and perhaps keep yourself out of some serious shit in the future, because I've been through it and I don't want you to go through it. So, gentleman's handshake, I'm making the content, subscribe, all right? If you watch one or more of my videos and you're getting value out of them, do the right thing. We're on the honor system. You don't have to do it, but it's completely free and you're getting something out of it. So, I mean, we're all adults here, right? Adults tend to try to do the right thing. So click that subscribe button and let me know if you have anything else to add in the comment section below. And of course, if you want to help us even further, you can give us you can give us a thumbs up on the video as well. Heel, Joe. Heel. Okay, guys, so in my last video, I had introduced you to Kobe, which is, if you watched the video, if you haven't, go back and give it a shake. You'll learn who Kobe is. Kobe is a male, almost basically identical to Jolie here, and they're actually litter mates. I'm not going to go into the story of that, but I'm going to use Jolie in today's video, and I just wanted to talk about a couple of the reasons why I've chosen to use Joe. The first reason why I'm using Joe to help with this integration is simply because I have a profound knowledge of her. I have absolutely no fear about her being the problem dog when it comes to, you know, this risk, because at the end of the day, this is definitely a risk that you're taking. But I like to say I take more calculated risks. So I have a lot of knowledge going into these things. And so with Kobe, you know, I spoke to the owner, and I always take what they say with a grain of salt. It's not always going to turn out the same exact way as they maybe project, because sometimes the situation is just different. Sometimes this is the first time this dog has been in this position, and it could technically turn out to be a little bit different than maybe the situation that they have at home. So in any case, it's the profound knowledge I have of her, it's the background I have on the dog coming into this situation, and it's instinct. Okay, it's also the time and the patience that I've and the calculation and the instinct that I've put into waiting to try this. I've had Kobe for 3 days now. I've read him. I'm getting a feel for him. I'm letting dogs walk by his crate. I'm doing all of these things to try to get a tell. Okay, so if there's usually something a dog will tell me in reference to, like, well, I don't know. I don't really know if I should do this without muzzle training, or, you know what I'm saying? And so whenever I do this, I have like a good feeling about it, and I'm not standing here telling you guys that I've not been wrong before. I've definitely been wrong before, but I've definitely learned from those mistakes, and that's why I believe that my take on this carries some value, is because I've made those mistakes, and I'm making this video because I don't want you guys to make those mistakes. So in any case, I'm gonna go get Kobe right now, and I'm probably gonna come back with a bunch more banter after the fact. But again, I just want you guys to keep in mind, I've had Kobe here for 3 days. He hasn't interacted with a single dog up until today, okay? So I've taken a lot of education, I've taken a lot of time and patience before I've even gotten, and knowledge before I've even gotten to where I was comfortable enough. And did you also know that a dog doesn't have to necessarily be dog aggressive for a fight to break out, okay? So let's talk about one of the situations where a fight might break out with a couple of dogs who aren't necessarily genetically dispositioned to want to just fight other dogs, because there are those dogs, believe it. There are dogs that just do not like other dogs, and that kind of goes off of my point that some dogs just aren't compatible. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is something important about that, though. The important thing is identifying that and not trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. I know that in a perfect world, these two dogs would just be best friends and everything would work. But similar to like some of the roommates that I've had over the course of my life on the come up, we weren't compatible. It didn't work, and it was never going to work. It's a very, very relevant comparison to make, because that's exactly what a lot of people try to do, is they try to just force the issue. And what happens when you try to force the issue and you're not really reading the room? Do these dogs even want to be around each other? Does it seem like this is going to be the dynamic that's going to have a long-lasting thing? Probably not. You just got to use your instinct. And it's okay if you have two dogs that are getting after each other. It's not about you, and it's not about what you want. It's more about the quality of life that these two dogs have. They don't want to be around each other. And that's it. It's important to identify that and not live in some fantasy land thinking that, oh, just one day they're just going to get along all of a sudden. That's not how this works. Now, in other instances, it may start off shaky. It may take a little bit of time, but eventually it could turn out to be happily ever after. It just depends on the dog. So without further ado, we're going to go get Kobe, and we're going to show you a little interaction. I will preface it with this. They did meet this morning, but when I get him out here and we start watching this interaction, I'm going to give you guys a little bit further of a breakdown on what exactly is happening, let you know about little nuances here and there, if I would step in, if I wouldn't step in, or if I would just let it happen, things of that nature. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's go get the Kobe. All right. Let you guys get eyes on him. As you can see, right off the bat, Jolie's always super submissive. She has absolutely no smoke in her to give another dog. If another dog attacked her, to me, it would be indicative of actual dog aggression, because I think I didn't finish making a point back there, is that sometimes a fight will break out, not just because they may be genetically disposed to dog aggression, but because there's just too much stimulation too quick. The dog hadn't had a chance to really familiarize and get their wits about themselves, and then it was just way too much excitement, way too much, just too thrilled, too fast, too much. And that overexcitement could lead into a fight, because there's a certain level of discomfort, there's a certain level of too much social pressure too fast. And dogs are going to resort to, they have fight, flight, avoid, submit. What are they going to resort to in a situation where there's too much stimulation too fast? They're going to resort to fight. Some of them will flight, but in many instances, they're going to use their defense mechanism. Hey, back up. So if he starts to become a little bit too like, hey, I want to hump you, or he's starting to like disrespect her, that would be grounds for me to step in. But I also want to give Jolie a chance to, I want to give her a chance to communicate to him, and I kind of want to see if she's willing to give him a social cue. So this is an opportunity for growth right now for these two. It's an opportunity for growth for both of them. And of course, again, I'm her advocate. So if I feel I absolutely have to because she's not sticking up for herself, at that point, I don't want to hinder my relationship by not doing something about it. I have to step in there and advocate for her and tell him to fuck off, okay? I'm gonna make a separate video on dog parks and doggy daycares altogether, because I could talk another 10 to 15 minutes about that. So we're just gonna focus in on this interaction right here. She's just allowing it, I'm okay with it. She's allowing him to check it out, whatever. And if I want to, just so that I could show him that I'm in control of this, even though this isn't necessarily inappropriate, just so I could show Kobe that I'm actually the one in control of this interaction. As you could see, or maybe not see at this current moment in time, I do have him dragging a leash. So I'll just step on the leash and then I'll stop the interaction altogether. Hey, but I don't like on leash greets, right? I don't like that extra, it's too much tension that people are adding. And especially when dogs are being introduced on leash by people who don't have as much experience, a lot of the time they're adding a lot of conflict and they're adding a lot of tension to the situation. Not only because the leashes are so tense because both dogs are trying to get at each other, but because they're also unsure. They're also a bit nervous. They're also a bit uneasy. And so when you take that human element of anxiety and you throw that in the mix, that is yet another thing that could also lead to a fight, because you're basically putting fuel on fire. Come here, bud. And so because I have some verbal command power over Joe, I don't necessarily need to have her on a leash. And especially considering it's him who I'm having to like stop from being a little bit too like, leave it. to the interaction too overbearing, right? So I just stop it all together. He looks up at me and identifies the fact that I'm now in control over the situation. And it does go without words. That's the reason why I have a leash on him. And as you can see, I'm making an assertive effort to not have a lot of tension on the leash at all. But he keeps on wanting to hump her, and he's like being a little too overly dominant. So strong guy, got to kind of put a little bit into it. So that's it. And we do this, and we could hope for in the future more healthy interaction. The interaction becomes more healthy and more appropriate when you have somebody who understands how to be the fair and appropriate moderator. Again, I'm not going to get into dog parks, but that's one of the number one reasons why I absolutely despise them, is because unfortunately, to a lot of people's beliefs, because a lot of people that go to dog parks think they know dogs, but they really don't. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be there. Okay, but a lot of those people think that they know what's good, and they really don't. That's why just nothing but horror story after horror story with dog parks. Anyway, I feel like I've been rambling on for quite some time. I'm just gonna sit here and we're gonna do this, and that's it. Subscribe to the channel if you got something out of it. Like the video, leave me a comment, let me know about any experiences that you've had. Certainly appreciate you guys. I'm Captain Chad Gabbs. This is TFE TV, where our number one goal is to help you become a more well-informed, better dog owner. Peace.